Hello, it is day 3 of the Woodstock essay, and I'm going to do today in 2 segments. First is going to be a morning segment, which I'm going to take you through right now, and then later on today, after I've completed the work we've started, I'm going to log back in and create another little video so you can go over that with me then. Now, as you know, one of the things about this Woodstock situation is that there are so many reports about how many people were there and present. And so, since that number varies, we are going to calculate based on this amount of people as about 50,000. And we're going to go that way. Of course, that doesn't include these highways over here, this highway that goes on to forever. So today we start the outline. We've already done the proposal, sent it in, and so forth. Let's take a look at the outline, and I'm going to show you what I've done so far and the structure. So this will be fun. Have you ever sat down at a computer to write an essay and just started writing hoping that something would fit, and it's just a mess when you get through, and it wasn't enjoyable at all, the experience, because it was just like, I'm going to throw out something and hope that something sticks. So it didn't give that wonderful feeling of accomplishment. Well, in many cases, I have done that. And the beauty of the outline is that everything is done for me when I get ready to actually write the essay. The outline is where I spend most of my time, and then when I get ready to write the essay, it's a breeze, and I'll show you that. Now, the introduction contains my connection to the topic. I always like to start a theory essay, or any kind of essay, to tell you the truth, with why am I doing this? And this is where I'm going to write in first person in a couple of sentences why I am writing this essay. Some people have grandparents that have Alzheimer's, and they will start with a sentence that indicates why they're interested in this topic and so forth. And of course, I'm not going to write anything like, the reason I picked this topic is because that is so, that's not necessary. I need this to sound formal. All right. Now, I love to color code, as you know. And so I put in yellow the quotes that I need to find, that sort of thing. In green, I put down where I need to add an image. And you can see that, again, we're starting from the standpoint that the reader has heard of Woodstock but doesn't really know what it was. Okay, so the first image we have, of course, is to show the whole picture of the thing. And then we go down to, this is section 1, introduction, and I break it down to sentence by sentence. That's why you'll never see one of my introductions that's 1,000,000 pages long. Many students that I see have a lot of problems with paragraph development, and sometimes it'll be a paragraph that's a page or 2 long. And the way to avoid that and to have proper paragraph development is this method. It's fabulous. Okay, so I'm going to start with my connection to the topic. Next, an overall fact about Woodstock. And I need to fill in this information because now they've seen this picture and so forth. Why is this concert considered the most impactful cultural event of the century? Because I say so. No, I have to find somebody that agrees. And, of course, the fact that there never has or will be anything like it. Again, maybe there will be. I can't imagine. But okay, general statement about the essay focus. And these are those sentences that we wrote back in the proposal. Woodstock was in many ways a grand, expensive catastrophe. Okay, this is our thesis statement. And I'm just going to start saying our because I feel like you're right here with me. So rather than correct myself and make us both crazy, I'm just going to say our. Okay, so here's our thesis statement, and we have indicated 3 areas of analysis, right? Do you remember what those 3 were? Take a look. That's right. The law of the few, the stickiness factor, and the power of context. And those all came from the book, The Tipping Point. Where did The Tipping Point come from? Well, I read that book a long time ago, and I thought it was so interesting. And so that's because I don't know one single thing about promoting concerts or how they even happen. I wouldn't even know. I can't even imagine what these are the three areas that we have, which we found when we looked at that summary of The Tipping Point. I'm going to read more into it later on, of course, but just for right now, I want to get organization. I do better when I'm organized. Okay, so transition to the definition section. The second section of any essay is going to be where I define my terms. Since I have an audience that's heard of Woodstock but doesn't really know what it is, I need an entire section of the essay that will lay out the foundation for my argument, which is my theory about how this whole thing happened. Okay. And I wrote this sentence. An understanding of the elements combined together to create a bonanza of this magnitude requires an analysis of the dream, the signs of the time, and masterful marketing. So, section 2, the definition section, is going to consist of three things. What are those three things? That's right. The dream, the signs of the time, and masterful marketing. Right. So, good. Good. Now we have this section, definition section. Right? When I create an outline, and sometimes when I write the essay, and let's pause here for just 1 second. Remember, my entire loyalty is to the reader. I want the reader to be so interested in what they just read that they are excited about moving forward. I never want my reader to be lost. I never want my reader to feel bogged down by a bunch of quoted material and a bunch of information that isn't pertinent to the essay. And that is where my loyalty lies. I'm always thinking about the reader, which is why I frequently write essays with section titles. When I'm doing the outline, I always do so that I can find that information. Right? Just so easy to figure out where this or that goes. Okay, so the dream is what was the point of this? Was it supposed to be a showcase, a fundraiser? What? What are concert promoters? Because I don't know. I'm going to have to find out. What percentage of promoted concerts actually happen? I was surprised to hear that very few promoted concerts actually happen. It's a lot of work. How much was the projected budget for Woodstock? We'll have to find that out. Where did the promoters plan to get the money? I know a little bit about that, and it's not going to go here in this definition section, but it is going to come down later on. It would be really interesting. Where did the promoters plan to get the location? What would have been the logical venue for the site of this concert? Initially, they wanted New Yorkers to go. Now, something happened, as we know. What was the challenge of persuading people to actually drive to upstate New York? And this is going to be a graph I'm going to do, and I'm going to make this one up myself. I'm going to show the United States, and I'm going to show a little dot where Woodstock was, and I'm going to show a little dot where I lived, and little distances to show the reader just exactly how difficult it was to get the word spread and to get people actually in cars. Okay. Next section. Go back up here to this thing. What is the next section? Signs of the times. So that's the next section. And I have why was 1969 the perfect time for a unified cultural event? Lots of things were happening in 1969, y'all. Some of you may have been there. I don't know. But here's Vietnam. Now, the image I show of Vietnam is not going to be one that's horrific and shows something awful for the reader. I don't want them to be set off from this, but I probably will show. Do you remember those images that came out back then that were all the coffins with U.S. flags on them? All of the kids. that had an effect on what caused people, in 1969 to, be a little traumatized. And next thing after I show that image is I'm going to have information and quotes, not only published, but personal quotes from people who were there at the time. I mean, if I can, I'll find some people that were actually, in the war or whatever. It can't be that long of a section, but it was something that was going on that was very important. From that came the hippie counterculture. Now, I went ahead and pasted this entire quote in the essay, in the outline, so I can show you how we are going to edit this down so that it's not that long, drawn-out quote in an essay that makes the reader think, does she have any thoughts of her own, or is everything just quoted from a source? Now, of course, I've already noted the source and where that came from. But let's edit this a little bit. Okay. Okay. We don't need any of that. Okay, so I need this witch business. Okay. The hippie culture emerged in the late 1960s and grew to include hundreds of thousands of young Americans. This is not going to be a compound sentence. I don't care when it subsided. That is of no use to me. Okay? That is all I need for this essay. Okay, so let's just do that. Well, this entire thing has been given credit to History.com, but it doesn't look like it's just one quote after another of stuff that doesn't pertain to this essay, because this essay has only to do with this particular concert, right? We're not looking at anything other than this concert. All right. The Manson family gained notoriety after the murder of Sharon Tate, and 4 others. We're listing the current events that affected this exodus, this big thing. Okay, Apollo 11 was the first crewed mission to land on the moon on... We're not doing our essay that way. Don't need to go there. Beatles gave their last live performance on the roof of their Savile Row headquarters in London on January 30th. Now, of these events that are going on in Signs of the Time, which one of these activities or events that are happening, which one of these has anything to do with our concert. I will put an image of Vietnam because that was impactful and very, very scary. And for those brave young men and young women who fought for the country in Vietnam, there's no way to show enough appreciation for that. But now, what else? Don't need to see the Manson family. It doesn't have anything to do with this essay. Apollo 11 doesn't have a thing to do with this essay. Music has to do with this essay. So we have this image. And then I'm going to explain the importance of this event. How did that concert affect America? And I'm going to say that mostly in my own words. So this particular section is going to be mostly in my own words, because an awful lot of this information has come from sources besides me. And so I'm going to speak about that and maybe have a couple quotes in there. I don't know, but this is going to be a lot about me. So we're still in Signs of the Time. And now we need to move on to what? That's right, masterful marketing. So let's go down here. And this is masterful marketing. So I'm just going to make sure I label it what it is. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make that a heading like I did with the other things. Yeah. Make it blue. Make it bold. There it is. Now, so far, this is where I've gotten with the masterful marketing. And ARPANET, I'm showing right now the limitations because, again, my main thing is against all odds. This is interesting. I didn't even know about this. Did you know that a day before the concert, this ad was posted in the Village Voice? Now I have to find out how many exact newspapers the concert was reported. I remember hearing about it in July. So anyway, now these are our next sections. What are these sections going to be? Okay, we know this one's going to be the conclusion. And of course, we're going to make that in color light. Okay, what's this section going to be? Okay, we'll go back up to our thesis statement. And that's going to tell us the law of the few. What's this section going to be? The stickiness factor. And you're right, I put the conclusion in the wrong place. Okay, this is the conclusion. Okay, what's this section going to be? You tell me. That's right, the power of context. And that has everything to do with what we were just talking about, looking at in section 2, which is what's going on at the time. Okay. Okay, I'll fix it later. Okay. Section 6 is going to be what? because this one is the conclusion. So what is this going to be? Okay, let's scroll back up. That's right. That section is going to be our whole point, the unexpected cataclysmic success of the most influential culture event of the 20th century. That's where we are going to make the whole point that would answer the question, who cares? Hold on. That's a lot to prove, isn't it? Well, we've laid the groundwork for that by proving all the rest of this stuff. Right? We're going to also show some of the problems. I found something where they were talking about people who were there that were talking about it wasn't all roses and glory. But here's this. So now I have a wonderful feeling. I'm going to come back to this later on. But now I have the framework for my outline. And when I research, I'll know where things go. Okay, that concludes this tutorial for phase 1 of getting our outlines set up. See you all later.